Hey, how's everybody doing? Thanks for coming back for another episode of Damien Ruins Horror Movies. My name is Damien, and as usual, this episode is brought to you by Cool Dude Inc. So go hit the link in the bio and go make yourself look good. Stick around to the end of the episode where we'll have survival tips and the Badass Award. But first, let's cue up the Whiskey Bats, who you can listen to on Spotify and iTunes, and there's a link to their YouTube channel below. By now you know that this movie is Grandma Werewolf, directed by Zachary Will, and you can watch it on Tubi. The IMDb description, here, let me read it to you. When a dysfunctional family goes to their recently widowed grandmother's cabin for Thanksgiving, they find out that their grandmother is actually a werewolf. Which is funny because the opening tries to be like all cryptic and mysterious. You know, you got the grandfather's like dying and he's like, has these wounds on him and you don't know where he got them, and he's like, oh, I'm too old for this shit, you know, we had a good 40 years, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna miss you. And then it goes to the next scene and we meet Hank, the son, and it's the first Thanksgiving since his father's death, and he's on his way to pick up his kids, but he's running late, so he lies to his ex-wife. And she kind of points out right out of the gate what a shitty daddy is. You know, he tries to like, hey, I helped change their diapers. She's like, no, you didn't. And he pretty much makes no time for him at all. So he's trying to pack it all into this weekend by taking them somewhere they don't want to go, to grandmother's house for Thanksgiving. His son Ben doesn't really seem to like him that much, and his daughter Kate doesn't seem to like Mom very much. And neither of them want to go. They want to stay home. Mom leave, Dad leave, get away from us. They get to Grandma's house, and even though it's Thanksgiving, Grandma hasn't even started dinner yet. And it's like, now that I'm doing the math of this movie, he got off work at 6:30, picks up the kids. He was supposed to be there at 6. I think he got up at 6:30. We find out later it's a 40-minute drive. So he's getting to Mom's house at like 7:10. Somehow it's still light, even though it's November. And she hasn't started dinner yet. What the fuck? Ben wants to play football. He wants to throw the football with Dad because he's thinking about playing this year, which he should already be playing this year because it's football season. And he gets Dad to agree to throw the football with him. Then Dad gets a call on his cell phone. He's like, oh, I gotta take this. I can't play anymore. His dad ditches him. So the kids head upstairs into the room that they'll be sleeping in, and Ben immediately finds the werewolf hunting journal that the grandma hid, like, as she heard them drive up. She hid it in the closet in there. Like, he immediately opens the closet and finds it. And then he goes downstairs and, like, in front of her, he's like, what's this all about? She's like, ho ho, that's your grandfather's. He liked to write fiction. He had quite the imagination on him. It's Thanksgiving and there's a full moon out, and Hank is doing work on his laptop, which is funny because I forgot, because it happens in the very beginning of the movie, and upon watching it again, it made me laugh because like he gets a cell phone that he's got to take. It's an important like business call because work is so important. He doesn't have time for his kid. Then he's on his laptop doing all this work. You know, you assume it's like business, whatever he does for a living. But upon watching it again, I remembered the guy's a fucking exterminator. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, what are you? That doesn't seem like a job you take home with you, unless maybe you're on call and somebody calls and you gotta like drop everything and actually leave. But what the fuck is he typing? Who's he talking to on the phone? Then he dozes off and has this weird werewolf dream. In the dream, a werewolf is chasing him. And props to this film, though, because the werewolf chasing him looks nothing like what his mom turns into. Because I always hate that, where it's like, how would he know what his mom would look like when she turns into a werewolf if he's never seen her before? So, I don't know. I don't know if they had the wherewithal to, like, think about that, or if it was a coincidence. I'm sure it was a coincidence. They had 3 werewolf masks. They're like, we'll use this one for the dream, and we'll save these 2 for the other scene we need. Hank's mom wakes him up for dinner. And, like, that was quick. Because I think I don't remember. Yeah, it was, at this point it's dark, but like, what time is it? You're having Thanksgiving? Doesn't everybody kind of have Thanksgiving dinner at 2? Maybe 3 while it's light? 4 at the latest? These guys are like pushing 8:30 at night. And Grandma is like, all right, I got a little confession to make.
I'm a werewolf.
And of course, nobody believes her. And then she starts to like not feel good, so she goes upstairs into the bathroom. They go up there and they can hear her throwing up, but she's also like transforming. So they're like, oh, this sounds serious. And they bust in the door, but she's gone out the window. And then they look out the window after her and they're like, oh, well, I'll be damned. She really is a werewolf. And the acting in this film is like beyond abysmal.
Holy, Grandma's a werewolf.
Now, since Grandma's a werewolf, they come to the conclusion that that means Grandpa must have been a werewolf hunter. Which makes zero fucking sense. Because if he is a werewolf hunter, he's the worst werewolf hunter ever. Because it's like, okay, you know she's a werewolf. You have hunting means killing, right? You have so many opportunities to kill her, either while she's a werewolf or when she isn't. Which is the tricky thing about killing a werewolf, though, because if he does kill her in the home, by the time the cops come to investigate and find the body, she's not a werewolf anymore, and he's got a lot of explaining to do. So he's kind of fucked either way. But that doesn't make him a werewolf hunter. I mean, he's obviously been helping her. I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe they don't know how long she's been a werewolf. Maybe they don't realize that she's been one, like, Hank's whole life. Because they don't explain why she's a werewolf. She stops by the store to get some eggs, which, what the fuck did she need eggs for? And she's all werewolfed out, you know, holes in her sweater and hair sticking out, and she's like, oh, these eggs. But she's on 2 legs, you know, she's bipedal, so isn't that, I'll ask this question again, I asked it last week when we did Bad Moon, doesn't being bipedal make her a wolf man / wolf woman? I thought werewolf is like American Werewolf in London, you're on all 4s at all times. Like, you could stand on your hind leg just like a dog could, but he's not going to run around for long on his hind legs unless he was a dog man. I don't know. I don't know why I'm questioning it. It's not like, you know, other than that bipedal wolfman flaw of this movie, it was pretty goddamn good. So I don't know why I'm asking. Why ask? There is, however, an actual werewolf hot on Grandma's trail. And there's 2 cops who seem like they're off duty. For some reason, they're working night. And they're not happy about it because it's Thanksgiving. And I guess they're fucking weird too, because working night on Thanksgiving means you already ate that afternoon around 3, like a normal fucking person on Thanksgiving. Hank and the kids go down to the basement and they check out Grandpa's werewolf weapons. Which is really weird to have weapons to kill somebody you have no intention of killing. And you've been helping her keep her little secret for at least 40 years. But the new plan is, we're going to find Grandma and kill her. That's what they're going to do. And they take select weapons from Wall, and they hop in the car and go after her. And they're driving around, and somehow Kate from the back seat spots a patch of fur in the grass, in the distance, in the dark, from a moving car that leads them to Grandma. And when they get to her, Hank realizes he can't kill her. That's his mom. Like, why did it take him that long to figure that out? That should have been like, how can we capture her without hurting her? And when she's not a werewolf anymore, maybe we can get some answers and find out what the fuck is going on with her. But she gets away, and now she's got Grandpa's journal. Hank realizes they have to go back to Mom's house, because in Mom's house, hanging above the bed, is the sword that Grandpa gave her for her wedding day, their wedding day. Which is kind of weird that he got her, because it's not his daughter, and it wasn't both of them. Hank really made it seem like it was for her personally, so I don't know, didn't he need that? I don't know. So they go back there, they break in, they trip the alarm, which isn't very loud. None of this wakes Mom up. Even though when Hank puts a knee on the bed next to her, puts his weight down so the bed sags a little bit as he reaches up for the sword, That doesn't wake her. They get out of the house. They run back to the car. Somehow she wakes up. Like she heard the door downstairs close or something after all that. And she looks out the window and sees them, and she's just kind of like, oh, they're together having fun. Isn't that great? Meanwhile, it's like, it's late. It's probably got to be at least midnight by then. Actually, no. It is 2:40 in the morning when they get there. And she's like, oh, that's cool. They're all hanging out having a good time. It's like, are you a little pissed? It's 2:40 and it's almost 3 a.m. It's going to be 3:20 about by the time they get back to Grandma's area. So after that 90-minute round trip, they find Grandma, and Hank drops her with the old 1-2. But not before she gets the chance to bite Kate. And now, Kate is a werewolf too. So Hank and Ben hop in the car and they get the fuck out of there. They go back to Grandma's cabin. And Hank pouts. He's like, oh, it's all my fault. I was supposed to protect you guys. So little Ben's got to like build him back up and be like, hey man, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get Kate back. We're gonna fix this. And they devise a new plan. They have to learn the voice of the Cowra to get Jedi-like powers. And they got the journal back, but the journal isn't helpful enough in the whole Cowra thing. Or maybe they didn't get the journal. I don't fucking know. They go to the library and they break in and they're looking for anything about Cowra. And who do they find? Grandma's in there. So they're like, oh shit. And they run away. They hop back in the car, but not before Hank grabs a book. But they get back to the car. It's like a yoga book. He's like, oh, I panicked. It's like, well, now what are we going to do? So they go to, I don't remember how they figured out where the Cowra master lives, but they go to his house and he fucks with them a little bit and uses powers on him. He's like, oh, you're, I don't remember Hank's dad's name. You're his kid. I recognize both of you. Yeah, I could teach you guys to be Cowra masters just like him. And he starts making them like sweep his floor and shit. And they're like, cool, this is just like Karate Kid. Then he's got him washing the car. But it turns out he just wanted them to do his choice. Like, it's got nothing to do with the Cowra at all. Just this movie being funny. And so then, like, he teaches them. My notes from this point on got deleted. So, I'm going to wing it. They make a plan and they kind of booby trap the house. And they end up getting Grandma trapped there, but then the cops show up and they're like, all right, we've heard noises, we've had disturbances, is anybody here? It's like, oh, it's just us. Like, well, can we take a look around the house? And they're like, all right. And they look around and one of the cops goes upstairs, the cop that's like really into werewolves and conspiracy theories and shit, and he goes up there and he just hears her from the back and she's knitting, so he's like, oh, it's just an old lady. Then he goes downstairs. He's like, yeah, nothing going on here, man. I guess we got the wrong house. But then she's behind him. They're all like, oh, they have this cheesy point. Where he looks back and he's like, oh, geez, it's really a fucking werewolf. I knew it. All right. He's all excited, but he should be like scared shitless and killing her. And he's about to kill her, but then the sun fully comes up and turns her and Kate back into humans. And they're like, oh, you guys are humans again. And then Grandma says, well, we never did have dinner, which is not true. They totally had dinner. They had it just really late. And she's like, would you guys like to stay with us and have some dinner? It's like fucking 7 in the morning, 6 or 7. They're like, would we? Hell yeah. We've been wanting Thanksgiving dinner all night. We've had to work all night. And they sit down. They're all having fun. And then in comes walking in the werewolf hunter, the real werewolf hunter. And he's like, hey, have you guys seen a werewolf? And they're like, no, man, I think you got the wrong house. And he's like, oh, I guess I do. See ya. And that's the end of the movie. No, wait, that's not the end of the movie. It shows like 1 month later at the next full moon, Hank and Ben are chasing after Grandma and Kate. And they got the sword and stuff. It's like, why are you taking weapons to go after people you're not planning to kill? It'd be just like if your kid ran away, so it's like, oh, I better get my gun. Like, nah, you're just bringing him home. You're gonna shoot him because he left. You just bring him home. Just get him back in the car and you drive him home. And I don't know, it's like a set up a sequel. This movie's 2017, so hopefully that never happens. Zachary Hill, I'm begging you, don't make a sequel. The badass award goes to Ben. Just for, I mean, he's kind of a twerp, but he's probably the most likable character in this. He's got a pretty good attitude, sense of adventure. He kept everybody going, kept everybody motivated. Every time somebody was down, he kind of built them back up. He had a lot of good ideas, like as far as this movie's concerned. What did we learn?
Survival tales.
Don't hook up with a wolf chick. Be a good dad. Don't graffiti. I don't know, man. There were like no kills in this movie, so I don't got much for survival tips this time around. But by the time you guys see this, Thanksgiving will probably be over. So I hope you have a good one. And if it's not over, if I bust my ass, I could probably get this done in time for Thanksgiving. But I don't expect anybody to sit around on Thanksgiving and watch it. But all the same, I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. And I will see you guys soon.